Hey guys, hope you are all excited about sensors and operators today. So, let's get started. First things first, let's go to control and get a forever loop, and inside it, a if-then loop. Now, let's go back to sensing. Let's take the first sensing block and place it right here. This block basically senses if the cat is touching anything. To understand this better, let's choose a character, a different character, like a bear. It looks pretty good and big. Like it. Now, if we change the mouse pointer to bear, and then go to looks, and select this one, say hello for 2 seconds, and run it, we can actually see that if the cat touches the bear, it's going to say hello. It's pretty cool. Now, let's move on. Let's go to the next one. So it's pretty similar to the previous one. The only difference is that it senses color instead of the object. Let's change the color to the bear's color so that the computer can actually tell. Let's click here and let's run it. Let's see. Excellent. Let's move on to the next block. This block is really similar to the previous one, except that we have to pick the input color too. Let's change this color to the cat's color, and let's change the pink to the bear's color. And now we can drag this cat to the bear and it should say hello, and it does. Very nice. Now let's move on. The distance to mouse pointer. This just returns the distance from the cat to the specific thing that's mentioned here. Like, you can choose bear and then click on it. It's gonna say the distance is 283 point something, and that is it. Let's move on. And this one makes the cat ask the user a question. In this case, it's what's your name. You can change it to whatever you want, and if you select this, your answer is actually going to be stored here, which is pretty cool. Now, if you run the program, it's going to ask, what's your name? And if you write your name, the answer is going to be stored right here. This is pretty cool. Now let's move on. Let's go to this one. This is like pretty easy. If you press a key, the computer is going to sense that and respond. So if I press a key, it should say hello for 2 seconds. The key is spacebar because it says spacebar right here. And if I press it, it does. I know you guys can't tell, but I'm pressing the spacebar. Now, let's move on. Let's bring the mouse down button. And if I click, it should say hello for 2 seconds now. And it does. I know you guys can't tell, but I am doing it. Trust me. Just something to remember, that you can also change this to up arrow, and you can actually make the cat move. So go to motion and select change Y by 10, and you can select the green arrow. You can just type your name. I feel like I have to delete that now. And if you click up, it's gonna go up. I think it's really cool. Feels like a video game. Wait a minute. Isn't that what it is? It is. Now let's move on. Enough with the fun. Mouse X and mouse Y. These are very simple. Just gives the X coordinate and the Y coordinate of the mouse. You can click on it to see the exact coordinate. And that is it. It's pretty easy. The set drag mode, I'm not gonna go very detailed on this. This one just lets the user drag the cat while the program is running. The user can just drag it. And if you set it to not draggable, the user can't drag it. Let's move on. The loudness is just using your microphone to record how loudly you're speaking. Like, you can see it change as I'm speaking in different decibels. Let's move this to timer. So the thing that timer does is that it records how much time I've been playing this, which I think is pretty cool. And you can reset the timer. That's gonna take me to my next block. You can press it and it's gonna reset the timer. I think it's pretty cool. Now the backdrop number of stage. This is a pretty cool block, to be honest. You can change this to bare, and then you can select the X position, the Y position. You can like select the size. It's gonna return the size of the bear. I think it's really cool. It's 100. You can actually see the size right here. But yeah, it's 100. Let's move on. The current year. This block is, I think it's pretty cool. It actually shows you the current year. Like if you click on the checkbox, it's gonna show 2020, but that's not it. You can click on the year and you can actually see more specific stuff, like second, what second it is, what month it is, what date it is. I think it's pretty cool, to be honest. So you can actually press it here to see what it is. Days since 2000. That just returns the days that have passed in January 1st, 2000. You can press on it to see what it says. It's a decimal number because it's just, I'm in the middle of the day. Let's move on to the next part, the username. So the thing that the username does is that it shows you the username if the user is logged in while they're playing your video game. You can press on it to see my username, or you can just not choose to use it. Up to you. You can press on it to see the actual username. And let's move on to operators. I feel like these are much easier than sensors, but that's my personal preference. And let's get rid of them for now. I don't think we need them anymore. And let's go to control and bring an if loop. I feel like that's very important for us to understand operators. And also get a motion one. You know what? We don't need the if loop right now. Never mind. So let's use the addition one. These are just basic. The first four are just basic arithmetic: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. I think we all know this, and I'm just gonna show two of them. You guys can try the rest on your own. I'm just gonna show the multiplication one. So let's show 50 times 2 is 100. So it should move 100 steps. The cat should, because we're on the cat right now, and it does. And if you change this to division and press it right here, and if I do 50 over 2, it should move 25 steps, which should be a lot less than what it did. Let's see if it does. It's so much less. And there you go. And you can try, these ones are exactly the same. They're just different like signs. So just feel free to try them on your own. I feel like that's a good idea. And the pick random. This is very simple. It just picks a random number from 1 to 10. And if you click on it, you can see what it picked. 3. It should not pick 3 the next time. It always does that. It always picks the next one when I say it doesn't. 1 to 10. You can just see it chooses different numbers every time, because it's a pick random number from 1 to 10. Just remember that it also includes 1 and 10. Don't forget that. Okay, let's move on. Now we need an if loop, so let's go back to control and go to if then. And let's come back to not sensing, operators. My bad, guys. Now let's select this and let's write some number, 40. So is 40 less than 50? Yes. So if I select, go to motion and select move 100 steps, since 40 is less than 50, it should move 100 steps. Let's see if it does. It does. Excellent. And this one is pretty similar to that. It's just the sign reverses, and I'm not going to do that one. I don't want to waste your time. I know you guys get it. And let's pick equal. I feel like it's a little bit harder. It's not. I'm just kidding. So if I say 50 is equal 50, it should move 100 steps. Let's see if it does. It does. So these are just checks if the thing is true. If it is, it does what it says in the if loop. If it isn't true, it does not do it. It's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward, I'm going to be honest. and is that both of the conditions have to be true in this case for the thing to move on to the if loop stuff. So if I say move 100 steps, and if I say 60 is more than 50 and 70 is more than 50, both of them have to be true for it to move 10 steps. If one of them is false, like 45, 5, it's not gonna move. But if both of them are true, it's probably gonna move. And it does. So it's pretty straightforward, guys. And OR is just a little bit different, because for OR, only one of them has to true for it to pass on to the if loop stuff. So if I say, let me bring both the conditions. If I say 50 is equal to 50, it's true, and 60 is equal to 50, which is not true, only one of them has to be true, so it's probably going to move. It does, but it doesn't matter if both of them are true, it's probably going to still move, and it does. Excellent. So I hope you guys get it. And not is just the opposite. So if something is false, then it's going to happen because it's not false, which means it's true. I know it's a little confusing, but you guys should get it. So let's say 70 is less than 50. It's not true. It's false. But since it's not false, it's going to be true. That's why it's going to be moved 10 steps, which is why it's going to move. And it does. So let's move on. Join apple and banana is probably going to be a word that's going to be combining both of these words, and it is. And there is a space in between, so remember that. Letter 1 of apple is just going to return the first letter, and length of apple is probably going to return the length of apple, which is like, how many letters is that? 5 letters. Yep. And apple contains A, it's going to either return true or false, depending on it if it does or not. And it does, so it's probably going to return true. It does. And mod is just like the remainder. If you divide something, so 5 divided by 2 is 2, and 1 remainder. So it's probably going to return 1 because it returns a remainder of the division. And that's what it does. Rounding, I think you guys are familiar with this. It's just simple rounding, so it's probably going to return 4 because it's 4.33. So if it's 0.5 or up, it's going to round to the next digit, or if it's not, then it's going to round down. And that is it. So nice job, guys. Hope you guys have fun. These are a little harder, so I'm not expecting you guys to know this yet. So have a good day.